Farrell is the perfect example to any old age pensioner who's like Mike Haley, who's hoping to get a rub of the green. And I would name Davit Zirakashvili. He looked like he could have started in The Sopranos. He was the head off Tony Soprano at the time. Woke up, then my side of my head was out to here. So contracted a thing called Scrum Pox, which is essentially herpes of the face.
You're joking.
Yeah, I know, it's a real common amongst...
This is a thing?
Yeah, it's herpes gladiatorium, they call it, Scrum Pox. So no, it's a different strain of the other herpes, don't worry about that. Lukey, we're back, episode 7 of What the Ruck.
Dave, we're back. Episode 7, and the last one before Christmas.
I know, they're flying by, it's great.
They are flying. Enjoying it still?
100%, yeah, it's great.
Been up to much now over the last while? Obviously plenty of rugby on. Been up to much away from the podcast studio, away from the 9 to 5
I'm
job?
working 24/7, kid. If I'm not selling planes on the airwaves, trying to take over both airwaves and airplanes. No, I've been flat out with work, obviously, in with yourself in here. So no, it's been great. Very busy though.
Yeah, so obviously we had a big weekend, probably past 2 weekends of European rugby. A good win for Munster there after that disappointing first outing. You were down there though yourself in Páirc Uí Chaoimh?
Yeah, we did. We went down. They actually organised kind of day and night for all the retired players, which was great. A few notable absentees, Conor Murray and a few lads as usual didn't show up. No surprise there, but no, it was great. Caught up with even the real older guard, Frankie Shee and all these lads were there. Tomas O'Leary, it's great to catch up with them. Hadn't seen them in ages. Even meeting up with Stephen Archer. He finally got a job, he was telling me, which is great. So he's getting up early now again in the mornings. But lots of people know, just to see what they're up to. Great to catch up with them. We went and watched the game together and then went back to Pete's house for a few beers and yeah, back up the road on Sunday.
What do you like watching Munster now? Is it weird still not being involved? It's your first time in so long, I suppose, watching European rugby and not being involved.
Yeah, people ask me that an awful lot, and honestly, I'd say it as it is. Like I actually said to Pete at one stage, geez, I actually couldn't think of anything worse than being out there, and I don't mean it in that way. It's just, I think when you're training for it and you're conditioned for it, and you're you're living and breathing it every week. But as I said before, I think you get to that age, you're 36, and you kind of you got to do it for such a large chunk of your life, and now you're into a new phase of your life. And it was great going down the weekend, stress-free weekend. You're not up the walls thinking about the game the weekend. You're there relaxing, supporting them, cheering on the lads, and obviously then you've such more vested interest because you still played with all the lads that are still there, the coaches that are there, the new coach coming in. There's even, I know we're probably going to get onto it, but Conor Bartley coming in there. I actually just texted him there before we came in. I would have seen him when he came in last year, and he was trying to get a good run of form. Great story, club player, doing really well in the AIL for years, great scrummager, and probably slipped through the system, didn't really get picked up, was supposed to get a run out, it looked like it was at the end of last year, and he got gout, King's disease, which is a few tighter props that they've gotten that over the years. But I felt very sorry for him. And then he was getting kind of fit, and then picked up a calf injury and just a couple of niggles. But that can happen. Club player coming into a professional setup, hasn't probably trained at that level. He was working, I think, for an AC company down in Limerick. So you're coming in, you're changing, you're all of a sudden you're thrown into the professional environment, training Monday to Friday, full on, and your body has to get used to the load. And we always notice that lads that come in, especially from club, they might have been picked up. They tend to pick up niggles or pick up an injury because their body's getting used to it and adjusted to it. Especially think as well at a tight head prop, he used to carry weight, for the scrum and getting fit at that weight. And as I said before, it's a real fine, delicate balance. You need that size and power for the scrum, but you also need to be mobile enough to get around. And I'm sure Conor would have found it the weekend. Heineken Cup is a step up in pace, and I was really delighted for him. I thought he was excellent when he came on. I thought he, 2 massive scrum penalties and pivotal time in the game, and I thought, he's an exciting prospect now. I remember actually, going on about it, I remember scrummaging against him when he came in. And I didn't think like going on, we rotate the props in and out, so I could be switched with, whoever was in, and like John and Archie could have switched in. I remember he came in, and remember after John the hit, I was like, geez, this guy's got power, and he was going in at the angle, and he was technically very good, and just didn't seem like your average club player that was just coming in, on a trial. He was a very, knew what he was about in the scrum, and he delivered massively the weekend. So definitely something exciting there.
Yeah, Conor Bartley not the only one making an impression though at the weekend. I suppose Clayton rang in quite a few changes after the Bath game. Was always going to be difficult away to them. Some big absentees as well. But I suppose maybe the pick of the bunch was the back three really caught the eye. I thought Ben O'Connor very good, Mike Haley very good, Daly very good. What do you make of the lads?
You would have beaten Mike Haley to the try line there for his near try. He'll get a good kick out of listening to this. No, I thought Mike was excellent. I thought they were brilliant. The back three, probably as you said, pick of the bunch. But other lads, I thought Nanks was brilliant. I think since he's come in, he's embodied exactly what Munster's about. He's really bought in down there. Going out with a girl from West Cork.
It's helped, has it? Yeah, it's helped.
It's helped, yeah. So he's part of the furniture down there now, and obviously Clayton would have that relationship with him. Dan Kelly, very good.
Craig Casey, good performance again. I thought he was very strong, maybe one of his standouts of the season.
Yeah, Craig's been consistently, isn't he? He's like roundabout lads that embody it down there. Craig's really taken that form, I think, from his summer tour and into his leadership. He's grown into that leader, that relationship he has with Jack Crowley, and they're building a team around it, and that's what you need. You need your 9 and 10 driving it. The two of them, they're what might be saying this rugby nerds, which is a great way to be, is your 9 and 10. They'll be leading everything in terms of standards, training, talking up in meetings, leading meetings, recovery, all that kind of stuff. You need those drivers down there, and Craig's a great character as well. He's a real buzzer. We used to room together up in the Shelbourne when we were with Ireland, so he's ball energy, and it's great. I actually thought his break the weekend was kind of a bit of a turning point. Like the game, the first half I thought was very subdued, poor first half. I thought I was telling you I was down there because it's such a great stadium, and 40,000 people down there, and it was real flat first half. Now there's a big wind and stuff, but the lads would have been disappointed with the first half. I thought to come out in the second half, particularly last 20 minutes. Thought Clayton used the bench very well. Another lad, actually, and I mentioned him before, I thought Ruan Quinn did very well. He's a big man. He's 118 kilos.
You're a big fan of him, aren't you?
Yeah. He just, as I said before, I think if you're going to compete at international level, I think you need to be able to compete. Like they're chatting about the World Cup and all this stuff, and you meet likes of Brian and Ruan. No disrespect to other lads that are there and as well, but I think they're up there 120 kilos. They're collision winners. They're able to win, that gain line. I think it's the way the game is going. If you want to compete at that level, I think you need players that have the ability to win both sides of the ball. You look at that. He came on that carry. He gets down the touch line. He ran over, the winger, good body ball. Then back up. Then gets the try. He just looks hungry to get on the ball. And he looks hungry to hurt people. Which is always a touch of class.
They would have felt pressure though, I suppose, after the defeat in the first round. I know the way these new pool stages are, you potentially don't actually need to win quite a lot of games to get through, but you never want to start off a European campaign with 2 defeats on the bounce, especially not one at home. No, definitely not. And it's a weird game because Gloucester didn't probably send their strongest team either. And I know you've seen the arguments during the week. The Heineken Cup is getting a little bit diluted with some of the teams they're sending over. Do you think it is? I loved the old home and away fixture. I just thought it was because it builds that, I suppose, nastiness or age. You're going to France. Like all my family would have put, like my dad's side of family, all my uncles would have planned that trip away, either Christmas or November, and it's targeted, and then you have the home battle. It builds a bit of a storyline in it, and it was great, and it's a proper
you know you're playing, you know everything about them, and it's a proper, it's a proper battle. It's over 2 legs. And it builds a bit of a storyline. I know it's the way it's gone now. It's great. I would have preferred the old way.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I suppose like I know we've mentioned Bath a couple of times, but it would have been a very different game to have, let's say, after losing to Bath in the first game, then to have them come over to Páirc Uí Chaoimh then afterwards as well. It really would build something.
I'd say Conor Bartley was a lot happier going against Gloucester than Ben O'Bannon the weekend. No, but look, yeah, it's but that's it. It's that rivalry, and it builds that. It's a bigger age. It's like, yeah, exactly. Imagine Bath now again. Should we
get rid of the last 16 stage? There's been people saying, straight into quarterfinals.
Well, it would definitely put more pressure on teams, and you probably wouldn't be feeling maybe perceived weaker teams. But I listened to Quinny during the week talking about coaches are there to coach to win. They're not going to coach to you. And I kind of agreed with him. Don't agree with him on everything, but I agreed with him on that now. It coaches heads on the chopping block every week, as are their players. He has to manage his squad. He has to keep lads hungry whilst also rotating his squad, whilst also competing, while also winning, managing injuries. So if they can pick and choose games here and there, they're going to do that. And they might have to look at it. They might have to look at it to make it a bit more competitive.
I went through the Munster team after watching the game. Obviously, we mentioned some of the standouts, and one person that actually struck me that maybe potentially isn't too far away from the green jersey could actually be Mike Haley when you look at the injuries we currently have at fullback. Jamie Osborne out, Mac Hansen not sure on a return date for him. Hugo Keenan obviously missed the Nation series as well, and I think we saw it with Tom Farrell in the autumn series. You're actually not as far away as potentially people might think at some stages. A couple of good performances and a few injuries, and you could potentially find yourself fighting for a spot in that squad.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. Tom Farrell is the perfect example to any old age pensioner who's like Mike Haley, who's hoping to get a rub of the green. Mike's been consistently very, very good for Munster for so long now, and he's been very unlucky with a lot of squads to miss out on. Unfortunately, the nature of the competition with him, you have Hugo, Mac, these lads there, Jimmy O'Brien, all these lads, but there is injuries there now, and Mike's form has been excellent. So it'd be great to see him get involved. But I think Andy's shown that the lad is playing well, and he deserves his chance. I think he'll give it to him. Tom is a perfect example.
I know we mentioned the pool stages there, but Munster seem to more often not get a bit of a pool of death. There's 5 teams on 5 points, Bath on 6 points, and you wouldn't want to be choosing who you think will go through. It will be difficult as well. You would maybe prefer a couple of games where you know that you're going to get the full points and the max from that, like you could maybe see in some of the other pools. It's a tough one though for Clayton's first season. Yeah, it is a tough one, and it doesn't get much easier. Like, he'll have to quickly flip the script now. He's got 3 big Interpro games coming up, so it's it doesn't get easier, and he won't even be, obviously it'll be in the back of his head, but it's straight back into, they're planning for Leinster now, the big games coming up, New Year's games, so it's relentless. This is the busy part of the season. This is kind of your make or break, and again, this is where they're going to have to use their squad. This is going to test squad strength, depth. See what I was really refreshed and pleasantly surprised with Clayton. I suppose he wielded the axe the weekend with the selections, and a lot of them justified then. And that's what you want. I think you want a coach who's rewarding form, not afraid to make bold decisions, brings the best out of lads. Players don't like being obviously pulled the weekend, but look at John Hodnick, and all these lads are going to be gunning, to training now, and they'll be playing out of their skin in these Interpro games. I'm sure they're going to have to if they want to get their places back. That's the way it is, and he's shown that he's not afraid to maybe not go there's a perceived guaranteed starting 15. You don't play well one week, you're out, and that's the way it should be. Next man in, and then it's up to him to hold on to the jersey, and when his form or injury slips off, back in again, and we go again. We highlighted some of the dead rubber matches of that round, but there was certainly one huge game that stood out, and that was Glasgow beating Toulouse, and maybe the epitome of what we know European rugby to be. I think that was the pick of the weekend, wasn't it? Great comeback from Glasgow. 2 great teams going at it, and
you know, for I suppose the other games maybe that were in a bit of lackluster, you know, and you're like, oh, maybe not a great watch. Good win for Munster, good win for Leinster, and, you know, Ulster, that great win over, and good win for provinces. But then that's a proper European game. That was a proper big European test, two teams going hammer and tongs at each other, and it just reminds you how great the competition is.
French teams, they've won the last 5 Champions Cup. Obviously Bordeaux last year, we saw Toulouse, La Rochelle have their spells as well. I know we saw Glasgow stop Toulouse there, but is there any stopping a top 14 team winning it? And if so, where do you think that challenge comes from?
Yeah, I don't think Leinster actually played their best game again the weekend. Again, look, they're up and getting going. You're getting players back from people are saying Lions tours and autumn series and that, and it does take time to get momentum up. But French teams are going to take some stopping. You know, you look at them the weekend. You're going to have to be in top form, and all the provinces are going to have to use this window now over Christmas. Blood more young lads, or give lads runs, or who they think are thereabouts, and lads will have to be wanting to put their hand up for selection in the Six Nations, and if they're going to beat French teams, they're all going to be firing on all cylinders. Did
you like playing the French teams yourself?
I loved playing in Europe. It was the best. That was the epitome of it. Over to Bordeaux there, the wine capital of Europe.
I was about to say I wasn't on the pitch.
Yeah, no, you get to see the world. That's the other side of it. I used to love, we played Racing a number of times over there, you know, getting over, you go over on the Thursday, you're getting out and about, seeing the city, and then you have a massive game the weekend. The French crowd you're like the Munster crowd, I feel like they're just diehards. Their home support is just huge, and it's a massive test. You go over there. Some of the best days we've had over there in my career have been, I remember we played Clermont away, Toulon away, Toulouse away, Bordeaux, Racing, all these sides. You know, they're just playing the best players in Europe, best teams in Europe. You're seeing the best fans in Europe going at it, and it's any of those young lads now coming through. Look at Conor Bartley there, him going over now, if he gets a chance, going over to a big French side, what a test for him, what a brilliant occasion. So yeah, it'd be great.
It's a different feeling though, I suppose, even in training the week of a European match, is it?
Massively. It's we used to have an old scrum coach, Macker. He used to always say it. He used to threaten to bring us for an Indian. We never actually got the Indian off him the week of the French side, because he's like, we need you bulked up now, we're playing a French side. He was an old school scrum coach. But yeah, it was different. We used to always put a big emphasis on our set piece, especially going away to big French sides, especially scrum wise, because you're just playing against bigger packs.
We briefly mentioned Leinster there, and Leicester really put it to them. I think they were 9 up at half time, and Leinster finding a way to win probably more than anything, and potentially different to what we've seen of Leo Cullen's side over the last few years. Could it be a good sign though that, when you're winning and not really playing your best rugby, it can often be a different type of strength?
Yeah, they're grinding it out. Again, I don't think any of the performances they would have been, I don't think Munster either would have been too delighted with their performance, especially in that first half. They used the bench very well, I thought. They added a difference. Leinster, again, credit to them, they ground out a win against Leicester. It's just, I suppose the benchmark is so high for Leinster. That's what they're being compared to week in, week out, which is credit to them, their success they've had. But I suppose anything other than them winning a Heineken Cup is considered probably a failure for them now. So, the performance wasn't what they wanted, but again, they ground out a great win against Leicester.
I'm going to do a little roundup of the other Irish provinces. Obviously, Ulster, that big win over Racing in the first week, then narrow defeat at the hands of Cardiff. But Connacht got their first win against Georgian opposition. Have you ever played Black Lion yourself? Do you ever come up against any mad teams like that? No, but I'll tell you a good story about
playing against Georgian. A man by the name of Davit Zirakashvili. He looked like he could have started in The Sopranos. He was the head off Tony Soprano at the time. he actually coincidentally won Georgian Man of the Year, which is ironic. No, because he fully looked like he was running a mafia if you were looking at him. He looked about 60, but I think he was about 36 at the time. But again, he looked about fucking.
She's ancient.
Yeah, exactly. As a 23-year-old coming up against him. But I remember scrummed against him. He was he was tearing up scrums in France for years. Actually, he's Clermont's scrum coach, or he was. I'm not sure if he's still there. Lives and breathes it anyway, or stereotypical Georgian. So then anyway, you're going young blood gunning against him, so you're going hammer and tongs and cut all split down the ear and face. I wake up the following day, sleeping in bed the following morning. I get this throbbing on my face, and I was like, geez, I knew the game was tough. I was kind of wondering, was I out or something, or did I get a bang in the face? Got this big burn in my face. Woke up, then my side of my head was out to here.
Jeez.
So contracted a thing called Scrum Pox, which is essentially herpes of the face.
You're joking.
Yeah, I know. It's a real common amongst...
This is a thing?
Yeah, it's herpes gladiatorium, they call it, Scrum Pox. So no, it's a different strain of the other herpes. Don't worry about that. So just for anyone listening, don't worry about that.
I've never ever heard of this.
Yeah, props get it. Most props actually. Right. I think everyone in our club, I got it back, and I think I eventually infected everyone in the club, which is at least once we all have it, then you can't keep giving it on to fellas. But every prop listening to this will understand it.
And is it from the friction?
It's the friction. It's a blood infection. So the blood, when you're scrummaging there, you get cut there, and the blood gets into your face and your ear. And it's just like a virus. You get run down, and your first outbreak's the worst. Like your head was swollen out to here, and you get real run down with it. And you obviously can't train for a couple of days. But then you go on an antibiotic, and it clears it all up.
You must have had a clue what that was when you woke up.
No. I was wondering what it was. But, I won't say. But you were. So that's my experience with the Georgian over there. So if Davit Zirakashvili is listening to them,
we'll have to get him on. I'm sure he has another story about you there somewhere.
I'm sure he's infected half of France with it.
Obviously Ulster probably not in the competition they'd want to be. The same with Connacht as well. But this Challenge Cup seems to have got a lot more competitive this year with some of the teams that are in it. I think even just looking there, like Montpellier, Stade Francais, Newcastle, all 2 wins for 2. Exeter are there as well. But if you're Stuart Lancaster, let's say, or Richie Murphy with Ulster, would you be looking at this as a competition that you think you should be winning?
I think definitely. I think if you look at, Richie, they went to that great win against Racing, and Cardiff wasn't as good, and then you obviously see the pedigree of Stuart Lancaster, and what he's achieved over the years. Like, he's not up there to just compete. He wants to win. So, they definitely need to be targeting this competition. And I think they're both going to be using these years. All the clubs said are rebuilding, but I think those 2 provinces in particular are really building. Richie's probably a year down the line further than Stuart, but I think Connacht has, they have the right structures in place now. They have the new stadium. They have great coaches in there. A couple of big signings we heard about Jordan Larmour going over, so I must give him a call after this. See, is it true? But look, you never read into any of these rumours, especially coming up to contract time. Most agents are trying to get him out there, get the price up. But like, if they manage to pull that off, that'll be some signing.
They've got a great balance, I think, Connacht, because there's even a lot of lads that I would have seen playing, let's say, Schools Cup there a few years ago. Like Sean Naughton came through Kilkenny College, and he's one that has really taken it by storm at fullback. I think they've got a great balance of maybe the experience with some youth coming through as well, and it's the real Stuart Lancaster putting his stamp on the team. Definitely,
yeah. And I'd say he's going to... We talked about Conor Bartley there. I've heard that Stuart Lancaster is looking at all the clubs up there, I'm sure he's going to find 1 or 2 gems there. Ben Murphy's great. They've a lot of great players. You still have Bundy there. They've a lot of leadership there as well. A couple of signings like that. If Jordan did come through, and all of a sudden, you've a great coach there, you've great facilities there, and it becomes, Galway's a great city. It's a very attractive place to play for lads. So you start getting big signings in, and I think he's a really exciting project up there. I think Connacht over the next few years is going to be a really exciting project.
If you were to play for another province, would it be Connacht? If you have to play for another one,
what's the old saying? To hell or to Connacht? I bleed red. I'd go over and play in the NFL as a running back. Cash in my millions.
Oh, that's good. And then another sort of Irish being lined up potentially in the URC, which is a mad one. Obviously, with the Welsh sides potentially moving from 4 to 3 regions, there's talk of London Irish joining the URC. I always loved London Irish when I was younger with some of their players, but could be a good one for the URC.
Oh yeah, I'd have loved to live in Notting Hill there and travel in the morning in my Vespa to travel.
Might be too late, Dave.
Yeah. No, I think it'd be great. Look at some of the lads I played with. They're playing over in Ealing now. Rory Scannell, Conor Oliver, these lads. Ealing have about 150 players on the books by the sounds of it over there. It's like an NFL roster. So I think London Irish, if they got in, and it'd be great for competition. Obviously a great place to live. I think that you look at the backlog of players, in some of the provinces here. Another team that close to home in the URC, I think it'd be nothing but positive. So yeah, if it goes ahead, it'd be unreal.
Do you think you could potentially have a bit of leeway then with Irish team picking players from London Irish? If they are operating in the URC, technically under the same league, there's still probably be some grey areas with that, but potentially if they're playing in the URC as the
there are grey areas, yeah. You're playing the URC, so you're on the shop window. I suppose Andy Farrell's going to be watching every game, in the URC. So especially Irish provinces playing against them, and you'd imagine that's the route they go down. You try and get as many Irish players over there that maybe weren't making provinces here, or players then that wanted to change. I've met Tomás O'Leary, speaking of London Irish the weekend. He loved his time over there. Said one of the most enjoyable few years of his rugby career over there. So it'd be a different life experience as well for lads. So I think it'd be definitely a big runner if it goes ahead.
Yeah, because we've obviously seen the Pro 12 become the Pro 14 and then the URC, and it is more competitive and obviously more money now in it with the South African teams involved as well. But do you think we will eventually get to the stage where we look at the URC like English clubs look at the Premiership and the French clubs look at the top 14, or are we still quite far away? Because I think for all of the fans, they still even just think of European rugby, I think, for provinces.
I think so, yeah. I think the South African teams have made a massive difference. I think, I suppose, good and bad for some of the other teams. You're going down there for your 2 weeks in South Africa, and it's a totally different challenge. I think it challenges squads so differently because you have to be, before you probably could have got away with a okay set piece. Now, if your set piece isn't good and you're going against South African teams, you're going to get obliterated. That's just the way it is. So that's posed a massive challenge. It's made teams, they're going to have to get better, and a lot of them have gotten better, but they're going to have to keep improving there and keep competing there. But I think, again, if you got a team like London Irish in there, all of a sudden you're probably getting, a huge English cohort looking at it as well. So that can only be good for the game. And then you've a lot of countries involved in a big competition. So I think it'll only help it grow it. So
we are approaching the festive rugby season, and your first one not playing is a tough Christmas time when you have a match either on Stephen's Day or the day after, and not having full trimmings.
Yeah, that was the big issue. Only one prawn cocktail. So my mother's listening to this. She better have the proper shopping done, because I'll be coming home expecting every kind of trimming this Christmas. So no, I'm really looking forward to this Christmas. Normally we play Stephen's Day. My family normally go racing. My father and his brothers go to Patrick's Well racing, so I'll be suited and booted going out with them, loaded up on ham sandwiches, cranberry sauce and a few beers. And then we've the big game, the 27th, so can't wait for that. Obviously to throw Ospreys now first, and it'll be a totally different Christmas for me. I've probably never had, I suppose, if you look back to when you're probably get into rugby 17, 18, when it gets serious, you always have games around then, and say properly playing Munster 22 and 23. This is the first Christmas I've technically had off, so yeah, really, really looking forward to it now. Yeah, it's bad, like you've never had a few drinks really probably on Christmas, or fully let the hair down, I suppose, because you have had an eye on, being prepared. Well, that's the thing, you always have the game Stephen's Day, you know, and it's a great occasion as well. Everyone looks forward in Limerick to that game. It's huge. And it's try win that game, which unfortunately we didn't do too many of them over the years. And into house then on Saturday night or whatever night it is after. That was kind of, but it's the 27th this year. So it's a different, pose a different challenge for the lads, but that's such a big occasion. I think Leinster are really going to target this game now after Munster's great performance against them up there. So I think it's going to be a cracker, and really, really looking forward to it, and looking forward to actually enjoying it.
I feel like you wouldn't have been watching your calories though, would you? Could you still have had a full Christmas dinner there? Or was it no grave or something? You can tell the truth now, you're out of the contract. I
absolutely stuffed my face, planked myself in front of the fire and shouted at my mother that the portions were wrong in my prawn cocktail. If she got the Mary Rose sauce wrong, it was too much ketchup, I'd be sending it back. I was treated like a king when I went home, and so that won't change this year. So I'll be finishing up work here the 23rd, and I'll be down. So plenty of time for to get down to Super Value now and get all the condiments I need.
That's great. Get the orders in, and then after that, Ulster's a big one as well. So obviously attention will be on Leinster. Did the job on Leinster already in Croker this year. Munster did, and surely that will fill them with confidence.
Definitely, definitely fill them with confidence. And obviously, you know, hopefully they can build momentum against the Ospreys, try out a few new lads maybe that maybe didn't play over Europe. And the way Clayton's going down, I'm sure there'll be lads to be picking lads in form in there, but it's going to be a big challenge for both teams. So Leinster coming, they want their scalp back, and you know, if Munster can do it now, that's, you know, home and away, they've beaten them. That's a huge win for Clayton and this new coaching staff down there. It's a real exciting game, real exciting Christmas, real exciting prawn cocktail coming up.
You said the double there the last time I asked you if Munster.
2 portions of prawn cocktail or the winner, the home and away fixture.
Let you decide that.
Both.
Yeah. Dave, what a pleasure. We're going to be taking a little break for Christmas now. We'll be back in the new year. We'll have plenty to sum up. I know we spoke about some of the games there, but what a pleasure the first couple of months has been. Yeah, it's been brilliant. Couldn't have enjoyed it more. And look, on a personal level, it's been great because it keeps you involved. You know, I still love rugby. People often ask me would I get into coaching and stuff, and you know, I'm starting this new career, you know, in aircraft leasing, and I'm really loving that, you know, and but I still do always love rugby, and it just keeps you involved. It keeps you, you know, you're still, I'm friendly with all the lads. And I like to see him doing well and progressing well, and having Munster going well down below and new coach and staff in. It's really exciting. So I'm doing this on the side. Look, it's been brilliant. I'm really loving it, and I suppose thanks to TalkSport yourself, kid, for having me. Ah, well, it's a pleasure, and long may it continue. We'll 100%. Have some big plans for the Six Nations then as well. Into 2026, so keep the eyes peeled, everyone. We'll be back. Just how much did Spotify pay Joe Rogan for his podcast? That's my this is my, I think, get out of this is going to get out of jail free card. Exactly, yeah, we'll have to revisit it. Yeah, brilliant, Dave, pleasure. Yeah. Thanks, Luke. Cheers, lads.